It all started innocuously enough at a weekend barbecue. You know, one of those casual get-togethers where you hope for nothing more than a good burger and an escape from work stress. My boyfriend, Alex, decided it was the perfect opportunity to invite his best friend, Mark, over. The day was filled with laughter and camaraderie. Typical backyard stuff, beer in one hand, a spatula in the other. As the evening settled in and the drinks flowed, Alex became increasingly distracted, mingling with other guests. Mark and I found ourselves alone by the grill, chatting about mundane things, work, hobbies, life. His charm was undeniable, and there was a magnetic tension between us that I couldn't ignore. By the time Alex announced he was heading inside to check on our friends, I should have known trouble was brewing. Mark and I continued our conversation, the air growing thicker with unspoken words. Suddenly, without warning, Mark leaned in and kissed me. It was brief but electrifying, leaving me breathless and confused. We pulled away, our eyes locking in a mix of shock and desire. Great, just what I needed, a complication. The following week was a whirlwind of guilt and excitement. I couldn't stop thinking about the kiss, replaying it in my mind. Mark texted me, apologizing for his boldness, but admitting he couldn't stop thinking about it either. Oh, how comforting. Both of us in a state of mutual obsession. We agreed to meet up to talk things over, both knowing we were stepping into dangerous territory. We met at a secluded coffee shop, the tension palpable. Our conversation started awkwardly with stilted small talk about the weather and work. But soon, the underlying attraction took over. We ended up in Mark's car, kissing passionately, our bodies pressed together in a feverish embrace. It was wrong, but the thrill was intoxicating. I knew it was a mistake, but I couldn't stop myself. The rush of adrenaline was too much to resist. Guilt gnawed at me as I returned home to Alex. He greeted me with a smile, oblivious to the turmoil inside me. The contrast between his trust and my betrayal was stark. I resolved to end things with Mark, but every time I saw him, the attraction was too strong to resist. Mark and I began sneaking around, finding any excuse to be alone together. Our encounters grew more intense, our connection deepening with each secret meeting. The thrill of the forbidden affair consumed us both, and I found myself lying to Alex more frequently. The lies slipped out so easily it was almost scary. The secrecy and excitement of my affair with Mark overshadowed everything else. Yet the constant deception took its toll. I was living a double life, torn between my loyalty to Alex and my desire for Mark. The stress was getting to me, but I couldn't stop. I was addicted to the adrenaline, the danger, the sheer naughtiness of it all. Little did I know things were about to get even more complicated. Just when I thought juggling one affair was a monumental task, Alex's father, James, decided to come to town for an extended visit. Oh, joy. James was the kind of man who commanded a room without even trying, a successful and charismatic force of nature. At a family dinner, I found myself captivated by his stories and charm. He had an aura that was both intimidating and alluring, and I couldn't help but notice the way he looked at me, lingering just a bit too long. James stayed with us for a week, and it didn't take long for those lingering glances to turn into something more. One evening, while Alex was out with friends, James and I shared a bottle of wine. The conversation flowed easily, and I felt a strange, undeniable attraction to him. There was something intoxicating about his presence, his confidence, his subtle flirtations. It was like I was a moth drawn to a very dangerous flame. The night James and I kissed was both unexpected and inevitable. We were sitting on the couch, the empty wine bottle between us, when the conversation took a more personal turn. We talked about regrets, desires, life choices. Before I knew it, his hand was on mine, and then our lips met. It was a slow, deliberate moment, our lips meeting softly before hunger took over. It felt different from my affair with Mark, more mature, more dangerous. And just like that, I was now entangled in two illicit relationships, each fraught with its own risks. What could possibly go wrong? Balancing the two affairs was a dizzying act. Mark became more demanding, wanting more of my time, while James was discreet, his experience in handling such matters apparent. He knew how to keep things hidden, how to move through the shadows without a trace. Meanwhile, I juggled lies and deceit, feeling the walls closing in around me. My phone was a minefield of potential disasters, each text from Mark or James a ticking time bomb. Mark grew suspicious of my divided attention. One evening, after a particularly passionate encounter, he confronted me. "Who else are you seeing?" he demanded, eyes blazing with jealousy. I managed to deflect his questions, spinning a web of half-truths and reassurances. But the tension between us grew. Meanwhile, my stolen moments with James became more intense, our connection deepening with each encounter. It was like being caught in a storm, exhilarating yet terrifying. James and I met at a hotel, the anonymity adding to the excitement. We talked about our lives, our regrets, and our desires. He made me feel alive in ways I hadn't felt in years. The guilt was overwhelming, but the pleasure outweighed it. Each kiss, each touch was a reminder of the risks we were taking. Yet I couldn't stop. It was an addiction, and I was in too deep. The complexity of my double life became too much. I began to make mistakes, missing appointments, forgetting lies I had told. The risk of discovery was ever present, and the thrill of the affairs started to morph into a gnawing anxiety. My relationships with both Mark and James were teetering on the edge of chaos. I was a puppet master losing control of the strings, and it was only a matter of time before everything came crashing down. And through it all, there was Alex, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing around him. Each smile he gave me, each loving gesture was a knife twisting in my gut. The weight of my deceit was crushing, but I couldn't bring myself to end it. I was trapped in my own web of lies, a prisoner of my own making. So here I was, caught between a rock and a very hard place, living a life that was a precarious balancing act. One misstep, one wrong move, and it would all come tumbling down. But for now, I continued to walk that tightrope, hoping against hope that I could keep it all from unraveling. As if my life wasn't already a circus, Mark decided to add another act to the show. His suspicion turned into a full-blown investigation. One day he followed me, yes, followed like a private eye in a bad thriller. He saw me enter the hotel with James. Great, just great. Later that evening, he confronted me, his face a mix of fury, hurt, and betrayal. He looked like a wounded animal, and part of me felt for him, but another part of me was just plain annoyed. Couldn't he have picked a better time for this showdown? I tried to explain, to untangle the mess of emotions and excuses, but the damage was done. Mark was livid, throwing around accusations and threats. He said he'd tell Alex everything. Oh, wonderful, now we're in blackmail territory. As if I wasn't already paranoid enough, now I had this dark cloud hanging over me, constantly checking my phone, expecting Alex to drop the bombshell that would blow my life to smithereens. James, too, sensed the brewing storm. He advised caution, suggesting we cool things off for a while. Sure, like that was going to work. Our attraction was too strong, and we continued our secret rendezvous, each encounter more intense than the last. It was like trying to put out a fire with gasoline, stupid and dangerous. Mark's threat hung over me like a dark cloud. I became paranoid, checking my phone constantly, expecting Alex to confront me any moment. The stress affected my work, my health, and my relationship with Alex. He noticed the changes, growing distant and concerned. I could see the worry in his eyes, the silent questions he was too afraid to ask. Then, in a classic move, Alex planned a surprise weekend getaway to rekindle our relationship. Because nothing says fix our issues like a forced romantic retreat, right? I agreed, hoping the time away would clear my head. But even in the idyllic setting, my thoughts were with Mark and James. The guilt was unbearable, a constant gnawing at my insides. I found it hard to enjoy the moments with Alex. Every smile felt like a lie, every touch a betrayal. On our return, Mark cornered me again, his anger boiling over. He demanded an end to my affair with James, insisting I choose between them. Choose? As if it were that simple. The pressure was immense, and I felt trapped, unable to make a decision that would satisfy everyone. Hell, I couldn't even satisfy myself at this point. James sensed my distress and confronted me. I confessed everything, the tangled web of lies and deceit unraveling before us. Surprisingly, he was calm, understanding the complexity of my emotions. He suggested we take a break until I sorted things out. Logical, rational James, why did that make me want him even more? With James stepping back, I focused on Mark, trying to salvage our affair. But the trust was broken and our encounters were filled with tension. He was possessive and demanding, and I began to realize that our relationship was based more on lust and rebellion than genuine affection. It was like waking up from a dream and realizing you're still in the middle of a nightmare. Navigating this mess was like walking a tightrope over a pit of crocodiles, and I was losing my balance. Each day, the anxiety grew, the walls of my carefully constructed life closing in. The thrill of the affair had long since morphed into a suffocating trap, and I had no idea how to escape without destroying everything in the process. So here I was, caught in the middle of a storm I had created, with no clear way out. The lies, the deceit, the guilt, it was all too much. But there was no turning back now. All I could do was brace myself for the inevitable fallout and hope I'd survive the wreckage. Alex's concern grew into full-blown suspicion. It's hard to blame him, really. My distracted behavior, constant texting, and late-night outings were hardly subtle. He confronted me one evening, his eyes a mix of worry and anger. "Is there someone else?" he asked. My heart pounded in my chest, but I lied, staring straight into his eyes. "No, of course not," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. But his doubt lingered, casting a shadow over our relationship. The trust was eroding, and I was the one with the sledgehammer. Mark, growing increasingly unstable, started showing up unannounced at my workplace and home. His jealousy and anger were palpable, making it difficult to maintain the facade of normalcy. Every unexpected visit felt like a ticking time bomb. I was living in a pressure cooker, ready to explode at any moment. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, they did. James reached out, concerned for my well-being. We met in secret, his presence a comforting balm amidst the chaos. He offered a way out, suggesting we leave town together, start fresh somewhere new. It was tempting, oh so tempting. But the idea of abandoning my life, my responsibilities, was overwhelming. I wasn't ready to turn my entire world upside down, even if it was already on the brink of collapse. A close friend of Alex's, Sarah, noticed my erratic behavior and confronted me. She suspected something was amiss and pressed for details. I denied everything, but her suspicion grew. I feared she would discover the truth and expose me. The walls were closing in, and there was nowhere to hide. One night, Alex received an anonymous tip about my affairs. Seriously, who does that? He confronted me with the evidence, text messages, photos, and hotel receipts. The confrontation was explosive, filled with anger, betrayal, and heartbreak. "How could you?" he demanded, his voice shaking. I had no choice but to come clean. Every sordid detail spilled out, leaving me feeling exposed and vulnerable. The fallout was immediate and devastating. Alex threw me out, refusing to listen to any explanations or apologies. I found myself alone, my life in shambles. Mark was furious, blaming me for everything. His anger was a tempest, and I was caught in the middle of it. James, however, was my only source of solace, offering support and understanding. He was the calm in the storm, but even his presence couldn't fix the mess I had created. Homeless and heartbroken, I moved in with a friend, trying to piece my life back together. The guilt and regret were overwhelming, but I couldn't deny the relief of no longer living a lie. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, even if the world around me was crumbling. I cut ties with Mark, realizing the toxic nature of our relationship. He was a reminder of the chaos I had invited into my life, and I needed to distance myself from it. As I settled into my friend's spare room, I reflected on the whirlwind of events that had led me here. The lies, the deceit, the guilt, it was all too much. But there was a sliver of hope, a chance to rebuild from the ashes. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, I felt a glimmer of something that resembled peace. Maybe, just maybe, I could find a way to piece my life back together. Living with my friend was the reset button I never knew I needed. Her spare room became my sanctuary, a place where I could breathe, think, and begin the monumental task of rebuilding my life. I focused on my job, finding solace in the routine and the distraction it provided. Work was my escape, the one place where I could pretend everything was normal. I threw myself into projects, staying late, volunteering for tasks no one else wanted. Anything to keep my mind off the train wreck that was my personal life. Therapy became my weekly confessional, a space to confront the reasons behind my destructive behavior. Sitting on that overstuffed couch, I peeled back layers of guilt and shame, digging deep into my psyche. Why had I let things get so out of hand? What was I really looking for in those affairs? My therapist's calm questions forced me to face the uncomfortable truths I'd been avoiding. Dark humor became my coping mechanism. "Well, Doc," I'd say, "turns out having 2 illicit affairs isn't the key to a balanced life." Who knew? James and I continued to see each other, but our relationship shifted. It became more about support and companionship rather than passion. He was my anchor in the storm, always ready with a listening ear and a comforting word. Our clandestine meetings became less frequent, more about checking in than making out. He encouraged me to take care of myself, to heal from the chaos I had created. It was weirdly sweet, almost like having a life coach who also happened to know exactly how I liked my coffee and my kisses. Alex, on the other hand, refused any contact, cutting me out of his life completely. It was a harsh but necessary step for both of us. I respected his decision, understanding the pain I had caused him. I hoped he would find happiness and peace away from the turmoil I had brought. The silence between us was a constant reminder of my mistakes, but also a chance for him to heal. Reconnecting with old friends was like finding pieces of myself I had forgotten. They welcomed me back with open arms, no questions asked. Their support was invaluable, helping me regain a sense of normalcy and stability. We laughed, we cried, we reminisced about the good old days before my life turned into a soap opera. They reminded me of who I was before the chaos, grounding me in my journey of self-discovery. Mark, unable to let go, continued to contact me. His messages ranged from angry to pleading, a roller coaster of emotions I wanted no part of. I remained firm in my decision to cut ties. Each text from him was a reminder of the mistakes I had made and the toxic path I had walked. Deleting his messages became a therapeutic ritual, a way to reclaim my peace. James and I had a candid conversation about our future. Sitting across from him in our favorite cafe, we both knew what was coming. We decided to part ways, acknowledging that our relationship was born out of circumstances rather than genuine love. It was a bittersweet parting, filled with gratitude for the support he had given me. "You'll be okay," he said with a sad smile, and for the first time I believed him. With both affairs behind me, I focused on personal growth. I traveled, explored new hobbies, and immersed myself in activities that brought me joy. The journey was not easy, but each step was a move towards healing and self-acceptance. I took up painting, hiking, and even joined a book club. Who knew discussing literature with strangers could be so cathartic? Every day was a challenge, a step out of the shadow of my past. But with each sunrise, I felt a little stronger, a little more in control. The scars of my mistakes were still there, but they were healing, slowly but surely. Life was far from perfect, but it was mine, and for the first time in a long time, that was enough. I moved into my own apartment, a small but cozy place that felt like a new beginning. The first night there, I sat on the floor surrounded by boxes and took a deep breath. This was my space, my sanctuary. Decorating it became a therapeutic process, each piece of furniture a symbol of my newfound independence and strength. I painted the walls a warm shade of yellow, hung up photos and art that made me smile, and found the perfect, squishy sofa that practically begged for lazy afternoons and good books. Work became my haven, a place where I could excel and find fulfillment. I took on new projects with a vigor I hadn't felt in years, impressing my colleagues and superiors with my dedication and creativity. The professional success bolstered my confidence, helping me rebuild my shattered self-esteem. I started to feel like I had a purpose again, something I could be proud of. Joining a local book club was another step towards rebuilding my life. Meeting new people and expanding my social circle was refreshing. The discussions and friendships that blossomed were a source of joy and comfort, reminding me of the importance of connection and community. It was also nice to talk about someone else's drama for a change. Fictional characters' problems were much easier to handle than my own. Therapy sessions continued, each one peeling back layers of guilt, regret, and self-doubt. My therapist helped me see the patterns in my behavior, the reasons behind my choices, and the path towards a healthier mindset and relationships. Each session felt like a tiny epiphany, a step closer to understanding myself. So it turns out self-sabotage is not the best life strategy, I joke, trying to lighten the heavy moments with a bit of dark humor. I attended a workshop on mindfulness and meditation, learning techniques to manage stress and anxiety. The practices became a daily ritual, grounding me in the present and helping me navigate the complexities of my emotions. Sitting in quiet contemplation, focusing on my breath, I found a peace that had long eluded me. Who knew breathing could be so revolutionary? Then came the surprise twist in my tale, a chance encounter with an old acquaintance, David, at a local cafe. He was kind, understanding, and patient, qualities that were a stark contrast to the turmoil of my past relationships. We took things slow, building trust and respect. Our dates were simple but meaningful, walks in the park, long talks over coffee, and laughing at bad movies. It felt normal, and normal was exactly what I needed. As our relationship deepened, I was honest about my past, the mistakes I had made, and the lessons I had learned. It wasn't easy, laying everything bare, but his acceptance and support were healing. He listened without judgment, offering understanding and kindness. It allowed me to see that I was worthy of love and happiness despite my past. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could truly move forward. Each day I grew stronger, more confident in my ability to build a life I could be proud of. The journey was far from over, and there were still days when the shadows of my past loomed large. But with each step, each new beginning, I felt a little more like the person I wanted to be. A person who had faced the storm and come out the other side. Not unscathed, but certainly wiser and more resilient. Of all the unexpected twists in my life, the text from Alex wanting to meet for closure ranked pretty high. We met at a cafe, the air thick with tension but necessity. Seeing him again was like reopening an old wound, but it was a step we both needed to take. We apologized to each other, acknowledging the pain and mistakes on both sides. It was a step towards healing, a way to let go of the past. I felt lighter leaving that cafe, like I had finally shed a layer of guilt that had been weighing me down. Mark also sought closure, but our meeting was a different beast altogether. His anger was palpable, and he blamed me for everything, unable to see his own role in the chaos. I listened, offering my apologies, but inside, I knew that ending things with him had been the right decision. It was a contentious encounter, and I left feeling drained but resolute. Some chapters needed to be closed forcefully. James and I exchanged letters, a final goodbye that was both sad and cathartic. We wished each other well, grateful for the support we had provided during the darkest times. It was a peaceful end to a complicated relationship, and those letters became cherished tokens of a tumultuous period that had ultimately led to growth. My new relationship with David continued to flourish. We faced challenges together, learning the importance of communication, trust, and mutual respect. It wasn't always easy, but our foundation was strong, grounded in honesty and understanding. Each obstacle we overcame brought us closer, and I started to believe in the possibility of a happy ending. My relationship with my family improved as I became more open about my struggles and growth. Their support was unwavering, a reminder of the unconditional love that had always been there, even when I had felt lost. Family dinners turned into therapy sessions, filled with laughter, tears, and an outpouring of support that made me realize I was never truly alone. I started mentoring young women at a local community center, sharing my story and the lessons I had learned. It was fulfilling to help others navigate their own challenges, turning my past mistakes into a source of guidance and support. Watching these young women grow and succeed brought a sense of purpose I hadn't felt before. My new relationship blossomed into something beautiful. We moved in together, building a life based on love and trust. The past no longer haunted me. It had shaped me into a stronger, wiser person. Our home was a haven of warmth and laughter, a stark contrast to the chaos I had left behind. Reflecting on my journey, I saw the growth and resilience that had emerged from the chaos. The affairs, the deceit, and the heartbreak were all part of a path that led me to a place of self-acceptance and peace. I had faced my demons and come out the other side, scarred but not broken. A chance encounter with Sarah, Alex's friend who had suspected my affair, led to an unexpected friendship. We bonded over shared experiences, and her forgiveness was a reminder of the power of second chances. Our new friendship was a testament to the healing power of time and understanding. I continued to thrive at work, receiving a promotion that recognized my hard work and dedication. The professional success was a testament to my resilience and ability to rebuild my life from the ground up. Each achievement was a reminder that I was capable of creating a future I could be proud of. Life had a funny way of coming full circle. The chaos and heartbreak of my past had paved the way for a future filled with love, growth, and resilience. I had learned to embrace my flaws, to seek forgiveness, and to forge a path towards a life that was authentically mine. And for the first time in a long time, I felt at peace with the person I had become. My relationship with David continued to deepen, and we began to talk about the future, marriage, family, and long-term goals. The stark contrast to the uncertainty and chaos of my past relationships was almost laughable. There I was, actually planning a future with someone stable, someone who didn't come with a side order of drama. We'd discussed everything from wedding venues to baby names, and instead of feeling trapped, I felt excited. Who knew adulting could be so thrilling? At a mutual friend's wedding, I ran into Alex. We shared a brief but cordial conversation, both of us visibly more at peace. Seeing him happy and moving on was a relief. It was like a weight lifted, knowing that we had both grown from the experience. I smiled as he introduced me to his date, a lovely woman who seemed to bring out the best in him. Good for him, I thought. Maybe this whole mess was worth something after all. James retired and moved to a different state. We exchanged occasional emails, updating each other on our lives. The distance and time had healed the wounds, and our correspondence was friendly and supportive. It felt good to know that we could still be there for each other, albeit from afar. It was a peaceful end to a chapter that had once been filled with so much turmoil. Mark moved on as well, finding someone new and leaving the past behind. We did not stay in touch, but I heard through mutual acquaintances that he was doing well. It gave me a sense of closure, knowing he had found his own path to happiness. The world didn't collapse without me in his life, and that was strangely comforting. David and I decided to adopt a rescue dog, adding a joyful and playful energy to our home. The simple act of caring for the dog brought us closer, reinforcing the bond we had built. Watching David play with the dog, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of contentment. Our little family was coming together, one wagging tail at a time. I continued to volunteer at the community center, finding fulfillment in helping others. My story became a source of inspiration for many, a testament to the possibility of redemption and growth. Each time I shared my journey, I felt a little lighter, a little more free. It was incredibly rewarding to see others find hope in my tale of chaos and recovery. Then came the surprise engagement. David proposed on a quiet evening at home, the dog snuggled up between us. His proposal was heartfelt and genuine, a culmination of our shared journey and love. I accepted, filled with hope and excitement for the future. It was a moment I had once thought impossible, but there it was, real and perfect. Planning the wedding was a joyous process, involving friends and family who had supported me through the darkest times. Each detail, from the venue to the guest list, was a reflection of the love and growth I had experienced. As I tried on wedding dresses and tasted cake samples, I couldn't help but marvel at how far I had come. From the depths of deceit and betrayal to the heights of joy and anticipation, life had come full circle. On the day of the wedding, standing in front of everyone who mattered, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the mistakes, the lessons, and the people who had stuck by me. Each moment of my journey had led me to this point, a place of love and acceptance. I was marrying the man who saw me for who I was, flaws and all, and loved me anyway. Reflecting on my journey, I saw the growth and resilience that had emerged from the chaos. The affairs, the deceit, and the heartbreak were all part of a path that led me to a place of self-acceptance and peace. The past no longer haunted me. It had shaped me into a stronger, wiser person. And as I looked into David's eyes, ready to start this new chapter, I knew that the best was yet to come. The wedding day was perfect, a celebration of love, resilience, and new beginnings. As I walked down the aisle, dressed in a gown that made me feel like a princess from a fairy tale, I felt a profound sense of peace. The past, with all its chaos and heartbreak, was finally behind me. Ahead was a bright future filled with promise and joy. I could see it in David's eyes as he waited for me, his smile a beacon of everything good that lay ahead. As the vows were exchanged, I felt the weight of our commitment, the promise of forever, and for the first time in a long time, I felt truly at home. Our honeymoon was a dream filled with adventure and relaxation. We explored new places, laughed until our sides hurt, and basked in the glow of newlywed bliss. Each day was a reminder of our journey and the strength of our relationship. We returned home with a renewed sense of purpose and commitment, ready to face whatever the future held together. Balancing my career, volunteering, and personal life became a dance I enjoyed. The lessons from my past remained with me, guiding my decisions and actions. Work was fulfilling, and my volunteer efforts continued to bring a sense of purpose. There was a joy in each aspect of my life, a satisfaction that had been absent for so long. It felt like everything was finally clicking into place. My relationship with my family continued to strengthen. Their unwavering support had been a cornerstone of my recovery and growth. We created new traditions and memories, cherishing the time together. Family dinners turned into weekly events filled with laughter and love. The bonds that had once felt strained were now stronger than ever. Feeling invigorated by my newfound stability, I pursued further education, enrolling in a part-time course to advance my career. The challenge was a reminder of my capabilities and potential. Each class, each assignment was a step towards a brighter future. It felt good to invest in myself, to push my boundaries and see how far I could go. Our home became a sanctuary, filled with love, laughter, and the occasional chaos brought by our energetic dog. We hosted friends and family, creating a space that was warm and welcoming. There was a certain magic in those gatherings, a sense of community and connection that made our house truly feel like a home. Then came an invitation to speak at the conference about my journey and the importance of resilience and self-acceptance. Sharing my story with a larger audience was both terrifying and empowering. As I stood on that stage, looking out at a sea of faces, I felt a mix of fear and excitement. But as I began to speak, the words flowed and I saw the impact my story had on others. It was a chance to inspire, to show that growth and redemption were possible. And it was incredibly fulfilling. David and I continued to grow together, facing challenges and celebrating successes as a team. Our relationship was a source of strength and joy, built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. We navigated life's ups and downs with a sense of partnership that was unshakable. Each obstacle we overcame brought us closer, and each victory was sweeter because we shared it. I reconnected with my therapist periodically, ensuring I stayed grounded and continued to work on my mental health. The ongoing support was crucial in maintaining my well-being and navigating life's complexities. Those sessions were a safe space to reflect, to ensure I was staying true to myself in my journey. Reflecting on my journey, I saw the transformation from chaos to stability, from deceit to honesty. The affairs that once defined me were now distant memories, replaced by a life of love, purpose, and fulfillment. The story of my past was a testament to the power of growth and the possibility of new beginnings. I had walked through fire and emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to